We're going to get started here. Thank you for joining us today as we prepare for some severe weather and a flooding threat to West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and across the state over the next few days. My name is Melissa Egan. I'm the Community Relations Officer here at TEMA. We're going to have two individuals join us today to talk about preparedness and to give an update on the weather forecast. First, we're going to have Chrissy Hurley. She's the meteorologist in charge with the Nashville office of the National Weather Service. I'm going to go ahead and spell out her name so y'all have it. It's Krissy-Hurley. And then we're going to have our TEMA Chief of Staff, Alex Pelham, join us for some preparedness measures. They're going to go through a briefing, and then we'll open it up for questions if time allows. So please just hold your questions till the end. And Alex's name is Alexpellom, and again, he is the Chief of Staff here at TEMA. So I'm going to hand it over to Chrissy.
Hi, thank you, Melissa. My name is Chrissy Hurley. I'm the meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service office in Nashville, Tennessee. Right now, we have a significant severe weather and flash flood event shaping up for the next 4 days. We have a potentially dangerous situation tornado watch in effect for West Tennessee and portions of Middle Tennessee. We're expecting significant severe weather over the course of this afternoon through the overnight hours. In addition to the severe weather threat, we're also expecting flash flooding across these same areas. As that frontal boundary comes down overnight tonight, it's going to stall across the state. As it stalls, these thunderstorms are continuing to train over the same locations over and over and over, increasing the threat for flash flooding. Another round of severe weather and flash flooding is expected during the day on Thursday into Thursday night. More rain and thunderstorms, including severe, expected again Friday across West Tennessee, and then again as the main cold front moves through Saturday night, and finally exiting the state by Sunday morning. This is a serious situation, what we're calling a generational type of potential for flooding, specifically for West Tennessee and portions of western Middle Tennessee. Some locations during this Wednesday through early morning Sunday timeframe will see upwards of 10 to 15 inches or more rainfall during this timeframe, leading to catastrophic historical flooding. We want to emphasize to everyone that this is a nighttime severe weather and flooding events for tonight and into Thursday as well, and Saturday night. Tennessee leads the country in nighttime tornadoes, so we want everyone to have a way to make sure that they have numerous ways to get the latest weather information, including tornado warnings and flash flood warnings, ways that will wake you up in the middle of the night if one is issued for your area. Now I will pass it off to Alex Pelham, Chief of Staff of TEMA.
Thank you, Chrissy. Alex Pelham, Chief of Staff here at Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. Right now, we're standing in the Emergency Operations Center. We are activated, and we'll be staffing very shortly at an elevated level of 4. We've been working with our state and local partners to coordinate and do some preparedness activities already. TDOT has been out in the community. They've been working to clear drains, which will help with some of the flooding issues we're dealing with. We've worked with our National Guard partners who are looking at pre-positioning and lead times on assets that may be used in flooding or other types of emergency management issues. Our regional partners are also activating their emergency operations center so they can coordinate on that local level, as we know they are the first response and we're here to support them on that. As I said, we're activated at a level 4. We're going to continue to work with Governor Lee and his team as we start to see the impacts of these storms as they roll through, and that activation may change based on what we see and what types of resources and what types of actions are needed. What we also see right now is there's going to be sheltering needs as we walk through this. We know some of our manufactured homes, our people in low-lying, heavily flooded areas are going to need to get out. They're going to need to be safe. These counties will begin to open those. We at TEMA will be working to coordinate and provide one area at tn.gov/TEMA to where you can go to one spot and see if there's a shelter open in your community and how you can get there. If you have assistance that's needed, obviously if it's an emergency, call 911. Don't look at social media, don't do things of that effect. Call first responders for help. If it's assistance and information needed, you can reach out to your local emergency management agency and they'll be able to help point you to resources. If you are told or advised to go to a safe place, please take that serious. Please take care of yourself and your families and your neighbors. So that's kind of what we're doing right now, but some of the things that you can be doing. Be prepared for severe weather. Have multiple ways that you can receive alerts. We know that should there be severe weather that could take down communications methods, having multiple ways that you can get these alerts and that you can stay in contact with family and loved ones is very important. As they change, this weather is not going to be scripted. You know, we know things are going to change from the forecast. Please pay attention to credible sources of information so you can stay up to date on what potential warnings or watches are out there. Know your flood risk. Our local partners know, you know, in the community, if you are in an area that is prone to flooding. As Chrissy noted, massive amounts of water we expect to come down. I think she used the term generational. That is 10 to 15 inches in certain areas we've looked at. Please know where you need to go if you need to evacuate. Please know where your families can communicate with each other about if they're safe or not. One of the other pieces Chrissy really mentioned is this is a nighttime. We lead in nighttime tornadoes. Obviously, that's troublesome. So what I would tell you again is to reemphasize the point, have multiple different ways to receive alerts from your from safety folks. Make sure your phones are charged when you go to bed tonight. And make sure, most importantly, you don't have Do Not Disturb on. I know Do Not Disturb is a great thing at night when you're trying not to get woken up. Tonight is not that night. As I kind of wrap it up, what I will say is we're going to be here in the Emergency Operations Center throughout the duration of this event. Chrissy said we have multiple waves, multiple days. We will be here throughout that entire time, and should the effects happen, we'll be here in the recovery process, working with our partners on both state, local, and federal level. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to questions.
Does anyone have any questions or any follow-ups for Alex or Chrissy?
For those who are, I'm sorry, go ahead. For those who are maybe stuck on the road, they didn't see this, what advice do you have, for drivers up there? If they're stuck in either tonight's severe threat or in great way?
You know, I think this is one of those weather events that you need to be weather aware. If you're in West Tennessee or portions of Middle Tennessee and you're going to be out on the roads, you're going to be traveling, before you wake up in the morning, the first thing you need to do before you leave your house is to check the weather, check radar, check to see what kind of watches and warnings are in place before you try to travel. I think cannot stress that enough that you've got to be weather aware for the next 4 days because things are going to change rapidly. And you need to make sure where you can get from point A to point B safely and, without any kind of, actions taken on your spot. You don't want to be caught out in the middle of it.
And one thing that I'd add to that, Chrissy had a great job explaining that, is we sometimes think of it as cliche sayings, but the idea of turn around, don't drown is such an important piece. It does not take a lot of water to move, whether it's you as a person and trying to walk through it. There's a lot of hazards if you're in floodwaters, or to move your car and move it off the road. So please be weather aware. Please pay attention to water on the road for the safety of both you and the responders if something were to happen to you that would have to come out and help.
And Chrissy, you guys mentioned this might be historical flooding. Can you talk about what that means exactly? Does this mean crazy flooding we haven't seen in the last couple of years? What exactly does that mean?
Well, I think anytime, you get 10 to 15 inches of rain in a short amount of time, those areas that normally see flooding, that have issues, that's going to be, increase significantly when you have rainfall amounts like that. So, if you're in one of those locations, low-lying areas, know where to go, know to move to higher ground, and, could some rivers hit, record flooding? It's definitely potential. I do think that we will be dealing with river flooding for weeks beyond Sunday, even after the cold front moves through. But as far as flash flooding, I think anywhere that can get 10 to 15 inches of rain in a short amount of time, will have issues and will have flash flooding.
One of the things that I would add as well as we saw not too long ago with Tropical Storm Helene is there 10 to 15 inches of rain in some of these places. There will be flooding that will occur in places that have never flooded before. So please stay weather aware. Even if you've been dry the entire time you've lived on the property, make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you have a plan if you have to leave, where you would go and how you communicate that with folks.
Even for people who don't have to leave, who don't have to evacuate, but are still worried about, if they haven't experienced flooding a lot, is there anything they can do or any advice you have for when it's not that severe in their area, but they're still worried about a little bit of flooding?
Yeah, the National Weather Service issues flash flood warnings, and then at the bottom of those warnings, we have some type of tag that goes along with it. And if you hear of a flash flood warning that is considerable or catastrophic or a flash flood emergency, those are going to be the types of flash flood warnings and the flash flood emergencies that you need to pay attention to if you've never seen flooding before. We don't issue those very often. I think the National Weather Service office in Nashville has only issued less than 5 of those since that product has been in existence. And a flash flood emergency means everybody that gets that alert needs to essentially take stock of where you are, where the water is, and what actions you need to take with that. But you definitely don't want to be traveling in conditions like that if you receive a warning like that.
Any more questions?
Can you talk a little bit about resources? Are you already staging resources in places? And what kind of resources, and can you sort of direct us about some of the places where those resources are?
Yeah, so we're working with our local partners here in the Emergency Operations Center. As resource requests come in, we obviously process those as they are. Working with the National Guard, analyzing where some of their resources are, like high water vehicles, to where we know. We're coordinating calls about availability with swift water teams throughout the state and throughout the region should we need to bring those in. And so that is the method that we're going about it right now. Obviously, we're looking at West Tennessee as the first impacts, but as you heard Ms. Hurley say, Middle Western Tennessee is also. So we're being strategic in the way we look at these things and not just shifting everything one way to have to immediately bring it back. Hopefully that answers it.
Over the weekend, we saw some severe weather also, and some areas are still recovering from that right there. Can you talk a little bit about how we haven't recovered from that, and now this is sitting down on top of us again, how that's going to affect what we're about to get?
So, unfortunately, Tennessee has become very resilient in disaster recovery. Our folks have seen a quagmire, if you will, of disasters throughout the last 5 years. I would tell folks, as you continue to respond and recover, have your notifications of what you know is coming. Stay in touch with your local emergency management offices. Stay in touch with your local faith-based organizations, your nonprofits. We understand that it's a compounding effect as you deal with severe weather on Saturday, Sunday, and now we're looking at generational, as Chrissy said, potential impacts. Some of these same areas were the areas that were hit in February, the Clarksville and the O'Brien area, and those are some very high level. So we remain in contact with those mayors, emergency managers, and continue to work through potential resource needs at both the state level as well as in our regional office out of Jackson, our West Regional Office, who has another set like this, but smaller, with localized partners that are able to push resources as well.
And I know we're all experiencing weather fatigue, right? We're experiencing it as meteorologists at the Weather Service office. I know the public is as well. We've had severe weather or severe weather threat now 4 weekends in a row. And it's just this time of year. Spring is here in Tennessee, and we need to make sure that we don't discount this just because it hasn't happened yet to you. Doesn't mean it won't happen over the course of the next 4 days.
All right, any other questions? Anything that you guys want to follow up with? I think you covered everything. Awesome. All right, well, that'll be it. Thank you, guys.